guys. I'm gonna bring that closer. All right, let's see if that works. Let's see if that works. Hello, everybody. Hi, guys. Hello, hello, hello. I wanted to bring it a little bit closer so that you guys can actually hear me. Can you guys hear me? Give me thumbs up if you're able to. I can see you with my terrible vision. Hi, Devin. How are you? Can you guys hear me okay? Is the volume all right? Let me know. Like, give me thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Otherwise, I'll bring it closer. We are going to be... Okay, you can hear me. Good. Wonderful. Hi. All right, there's 12 of you on. Hi, Nellie. Hi, Danny. Hi, guys. Happy Father's Day to everybody that's celebrating Father's Day. I'm glad you guys can hear me. I am Danielle, in case anybody is new here. I'm one of the co-owners of Amityville Apothecary. Dina is enjoying her day off with family, and I usually work on Sundays, so I am stepping out of my comfort zone and going to be kicking off a 10-part series focusing on Astrology 101. So the thought is, as if you were brand new to astrology, this is just a free series of education and content to give you the basic foundation of astrology, because I absolutely love it. I think astrology is the blueprint of your soul, and a lot of people find it overwhelming or don't really understand how complex or deep it can go. So one of the things, I've always loved astrology since I'm young, but you know, one of the things when I was working back in corporate America and I was feeling very burned out, people said, well, how did you like reinvigorate your interests? And I started by taking astrology classes again. And my teacher is Maria, and many, but Maria Di Simone is one of my astrology teachers who I love, and she's done events here. But I think the more you understand about astrology, it serves as a really fascinating tool to provide insight and to better understand yourself as well as other people. So you can totally have so much fun with it. Even just basics can serve as really beneficial tools for you in terms of interpersonal communication and interactions with your partner, your romantic partner, your business partner, your children, your parents, anybody that you're like, I just don't understand. If you can gain some insight into their astrology, you can better understand where they're coming from and also communicate in a way that they may be more receptive to understanding. So it is going to be a 10-part series. I thought we can focus on just real basics. So the first, today, we will focus on your sun sign as well as your rising sign, and then the zodiac signs, like the characteristics and personalities of that. So what does it mean? What does it matter? And then next class, we can go into the moon, which is a luminary. Then we can go into Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all as a series, and delve a little bit into, okay, if my moon is in Leo, what does that mean for each week? But today I thought it would be a good way to start by talking about some basic 101s of astrology. Your sun and rising are both Libra. Very cool. I am a Libra sun, and I am a Sagittarius rising, and I am a Leo moon. So what does that mean? Some of you might be like, I don't know. A fun fact about me and Dina is we have the same exact birthday. Same year, same day, almost the same location. She was born in a different part of Long Island, I was born in Huntington, and we're Libra suns. She is a Capricorn rising, I'm a Sagittarius rising, and we're both Leo moons. But it's funny to see our astrology, it's like almost identical. So, without further ado, focusing on the sun, there's a few terms that will be helpful for you. And I am a note taker, like I've already started with my notes, so don't mind me as I go through. I know this knowledge, but I also like to have notes so I can like be very thorough. That's very meticulous Libra of me. But there are some additional terms in astrology before I even get into it that will be helpful with this. And then once you understand these concepts, it'll actually go into helping to understand the personalities of each zodiac sign. So let's talk about what your sun sign is. The sun is a luminary. It is the brightest entity in the entire solar system. So it makes sense that it represents you and your ego, your vitality, your basic personality. Some keywords. Oh, my candle just went out. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It's a little breeze. It feels great. So think about the sun as the luminary of your life and of self. Okay? So when you read your horoscope, most people just read their horoscope and it reflects their sun sign. So without knowing your exact time of birth, everyone can just look up the date that they were born and find out what their sun sign is. So there's 12 different signs of the zodiac, and it starts with Aries and it goes through in order, which we'll go through. But everybody has basically 12 parts, 12 months of the year. Everybody is born into a certain sun sign. So it takes about 1 month for the sun to transit between the zodiac sign to the next sign. So what it represents with you is your ego, your basic personality, as well as your vitality. And then not taking it from a personal perspective, what does the sun represent in life? So the sun represents what's happening with the global energy levels as well as the collective focus. So we just started, let's see, what season are we in right now? What's today's date? June. So we are in, hold on a minute, what's today's date? I have no idea. Yeah, we're approaching, okay, so we're in Gemini still. And we'll talk about what Gemini means. So the energy of Gemini, because the sun is in Gemini based on our current date, the conscious collective is going to also feel the energy of that. So you don't have to just be a Gemini to understand what that means. Okay, so identity, ego, life force, and your core essence. So since the sun is the brightest force in the solar system, so too it thank you for telling me the date. I'm like out of it. So too is it the most radiant force in your birth chart. So your birth chart is called your natal chart, and there's lots of different websites that you can go online and you can type in free natal chart. It's NATAL, free natal chart, and type in your birth date, the exact time of birth, and the location of birth, and that's how you can pull up what your specific birth chart is. And it's really fun to do this because as you learn, you can follow along and say, like, what does this mean to me? I pull birth charts for myself. Loud muffler. I pull birth charts for myself, my parents, my siblings, my spouse, my children. It's fun. If I have a fun friend and I was like, why do we have this connection? I'll pull charts on them. It's really a good time. So the energy of the sun ties to your core identity, but it's also representative of who you are meant to be throughout this entire lifetime. So just because you were born in a certain sign doesn't mean you automatically are that. There's an evolved state of, or a heightened state of each zodiac sign. So our soul's path is to aspire and to grow into the fully evolved version of that throughout our lifetime. Okay, so it does serve as the cornerstone of your values, your goals, your intrinsic sense of self. And then also, this was an interesting fun fact that I really related to. As you age, your connection to your sun sign gets stronger, and you become more confident in who and what you are in all of your glory. So I thought that was fun. It's your essential self, individuality, your will, vitality, desire, and who you are. So everyone's like, okay, no, duh, Danielle. But a lot of people don't know that their rising sign, their ascendant sign, is also very important. And when you check your horoscopes, you should check both your sun sign as well as your rising sign, which is known as your ascendant. So your ascendant is located, if you look at the circle of the zodiac wheel, the easternmost point of your zodiac chart, because your ascendant represents the sun coming up over the horizon at the exact moment that you took your first breath. So your first breath is when it's believed that your soul enters your body and you incarnate into this lifetime. So your ascendant or your rising sign is very important because that reflects your first impression in life. So it's the mask what you wear, so that people that meet you at first impression may think that you are a certain sign. So for me, I'm a Libra, but they tend to see me as the characteristics at first glance of a Sagittarius. So it represents your social personality, perhaps also including aspects of your physical body and your outward style. So at first glance, I'm a Sag, I'm direct, I'm fun, I'm adventurous, I'm curious, I seek higher learning. Those are all aligned with Sagittarius. Libra tends to be a little bit more refined, people pleaser, balancing, etc. So it's very, very important that in order to gain that knowledge, you do need to know your exact time of birth. So ask your parents, check your, hello, how are you, Madeline? If you need, you can check your birth chart. And if it doesn't have the birth chart, sometimes you could even check if you can order one with the exact time of birth. So it's really fun. Let's see, first impression. First breath, first impression. That's an easy way to remember what your rising sign is. So with that, before I get into each of the signs, the terms that I wanted to talk about is the qualities of the different zodiac signs. So there's 4 elements for each zodiac sign, but then there's also qualities. So there's a cardinal quality, which means that is the first sign of each season. So that is the first to start. So if you're a cardinal sign, you tend to be like a leader, a starter. You're like, yeah, let's get this going. And then once you get it going, you actually want to pass it off to someone else and start something else. So that is the traits of being a cardinal sign. So the cardinal signs are Aries, which is a cardinal fire sign, Cancer, which is a cardinal water sign, Libra, which is a cardinal air sign, and Capricorn, which is a cardinal earth sign. Okay, so that's the first of the season. So you think the first out of the gates, the first to start with an idea, the first to get moving, and then they get the ball rolling, and then they like to move on to something else and pass off like the rest for one of the other people to do. So then in the middle of each season, and we'll go through the entire calendar wheel. So just think, the beginning of each season, cardinal. The middle of each season, all 4 seasons, is the fixed signs. So those are at the core foundation of each season. So think about fixed. It can be stubborn, persistent, consistent, reliable. Sometimes it's like very unmoving, but those signs are Taurus. So a Taurus sign is earth. Leo is a fixed fire sign. So think about like the hazy days of summer. Scorpio is a fixed water sign, and Aquarius is a fixed air sign. So the fixed signs have great resolve and great reserves of power. So often when a cardinal sign will start something, they'll pass it off to a fixed sign to do the work and see it through, because they're reliable and steadfast and they like that foundation. And then towards the end of each season, that's known as the mutable signs. The quality is mutable. So those signs, it means malleable. It means kind of go with the flow, because the ending might be a little bit, there might be some unfinished business, so they have to be a little bit more flexible as you prepare to go into the next season. So those mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. So Gemini is an air sign that's mutable. Virgo is an earth sign that's mutable. Sagittarius is a fire sign, and Pisces is a water sign. So they tend to be very adaptable and flexible, go with the flow, and they're more comfortable with making transitions. So we'll talk about that. And then the elements are also, you see in astrology as well as in tarot. So fire tends to be energetic and courageous and passionate and idealistic and assertive and a real visionary. So if you think about fire, you think about like passion and creativity and swagger. Okay, so those are fire signs. The earth signs is what you would think, earth. So it's tangible assets. They like material things. They're very tactile. They're very down to earth. They're very grounded. They're very good at managing things in the physical realm. Air is all about your mind, your mindset. So very intellectual, very social, very thoughtful, very cerebral. Oftentimes they lead with, like for interpersonal communication and reactions, it might not be as emotional, but it might be thought-driven. So that is an air sign. They're always thinking and communicating. And then water represents your emotions. So that's very emotional, it's highly intuitive, romantic, sensitive. They think with their feelings. They're often very romantic, but they get caught up deep into the emotion of things. So that's a water sign. So that's a lot of information, but it'll make sense as we go through this series, how it works. So the first sign, the first sun sign, is Aries. So, where's my note for that? Hold on a minute. Okay, Aries. So the dates, I'm glad you find it interesting. Cool. You know, like, I learned, as if I was a 2-year-old, how to just really become comfortable with the basics of astrology, and then you can layer on. So once you understand the basics, you'll start to see how they interplay with each other, and you're like, that makes so much sense. So Aries, the dates of Aries, it's the beginning of the zodiac. So as you look at the wheel, Aries is March 21st until April 19th. So it is a fire element. So again, that passion, that creativity, that like jump out of the gate. So it's a cardinal sign. So it's a fire cardinal. The power color is red. The ruling planet is Mars. Mars is the planet of action. And the symbol is the ram. So if you think about Aries, it's the baby of the zodiac because it's the first sign in the zodiac wheel of the year. And it's a fire cardinal sign. So it's a fire starter. It will jump out of the gate with passion and excitement. It might not think first. It might just go and then think later. So they are bold. They are courageous. They are pioneering. Think about the Tarot Fool card. So that's very much Aries energy. Like, let's go. We'll think about it later. Like let's go, guys. They are not afraid. They have the world ahead of them and they are ready to go. So they are not afraid to like set out on new territory. They definitely have a curiosity and like they just are excited think about a young child. This is the baby of the zodiac, so they just are ready to get out and go. They have an enthusiasm for life. They can be quick to anger, but then they can also like get over it really quick and move on. So they're not really big grudge holders, because they're just like, no, nobody has time for that. We're passionate, we're excited, we're doing, we're going, we're moving on. So they might be a little explosive out of the gates if they get angered, and then they're like, oh, what's next? So let's see, what else? Some keywords associated with Aries is pioneering, leading, new beginnings. They're a real daredevil, and it's the person that's not inclined to say no. They're like, all right, let's do this. And I think that's really fun, because you need somebody to just say like, let's go, and rally the troops. So that is very much Aries. So you think about a little ram, takes his head, he's gonna just like bang it against a wall, and here we go. Love it. That's Aries. So then the next sign is Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. The dates are April 20th to May 20th. And it is an earth element. So again, earth is very connected to material possessions, and it's a fixed sign. So again, that very stable, comfortable material assets. The power colors associated with Taurus are pink and pale blue. The ruling planet is Venus, and Venus rules love and money. And the symbol of that is the bull. So Taurus is known to be very sensual, very determined, very loyal. They love security. They love stability above everything. They definitely have an affinity to enjoy nice things in life, like things that make them happy. It could be luxurious things, it could be brand things, it just can be like creature comforts that make them feel happy and safe. And they like to be in their home, surrounded by the things that make them feel proud and happy, and they're very content to be there. They are definitely drawn to beauty and pleasure, things that just make them feel like happy and content, because they're earth sign. And they tend to be very practical in life. So my dad was a Taurus, and he was happiest when he was sitting on his couch with his newspaper and Jeopardy was on, surrounded by his family, and like that just epitomized he was a happy man. So, he's a very typical Taurus, and he loved it. So they tend to be very excellent with money, and they also can be very sensual and very loving. Now, the downside of Taurus that people have to watch out for is they can also be very stubborn, because they're an earth sign and they're fixed. So if they don't want to do something, think about how stubborn a bull can be. If you're trying to pull it and it doesn't want to, it sounds familiar. Yeah, it's really interesting when you break it down, because like once you understand, you're like, this makes a lot of sense. So they definitely can be very resistant to change, because once they like what they like, and they don't want to change it. So I think once you understand that, you can figure out ways to maneuver and to negotiate those aspects and play to their strengths. Okay, so keywords associated with that: they tend to be very warm, very gentle, very loyal, very dependable people, Taurans. So ownership, dependability, and sensuality for Taurus are keywords. All right, the next sign in the calendar is Gemini. And if you guys have questions, let me know. Again, this is like an astrology 101. So today we're talking about both your sun sign and your ascendant sign. So keep in mind, even if you don't have your sun or your ascendant in these, if the sun overhead is in this sign, which we are now in Gemini, the conscious collective is going to be feeling this energy. So it's going to have an impact because the sun is shining down upon us and the sun is in that position in the universe. It's going to just energetically affect us all throughout the entire calendar year. So once you understand, you can also learn how to better harness that energy and make it work towards your benefit. So Gemini is the next sign zodiac sign in the calendar. And the dates for that is May 21st to June 20th. And that is an air element. So again, associated with thoughts and communication. It is mutable. So again, you have that flexible, malleable, go with the flow of mutable quality. The power color for Gemini is yellow. The ruling planet is Mercury, which is the planet of communication. Oh, okay, this is your moon sign, cool. The symbol is the twins for Gemini. So I think Gemini tends to get a little bad rep with certain aspects, but we'll talk about how the element and the quality relate and how they operate. It's really, I love Geminis. So they tend to be very quick-witted, excitable, inquisitive, and they're very curious. So again, they're an air sign. They're like input, input, input. I need information. And then they're malleable, they're mutable. So think about a wide range of interests, all thought-provoking. So they just want tons of information. And if it starts getting too deep or too stagnant, they're like, what's over here? What's over here? You know, like that's Gemini. So they want to learn about everything and everyone in the world. They are fun. They totally are fun because they're curious. They're like, what about you? What about you? What about this? What about this food? Look at this. Look at that. Like they're curious for life. And they tend to be like a little sarcastic but they're witty and they're smart. They're always thinking. So they're like it's almost like a little firefly buzzing around a Gemini. So they are masterful at communication and they are very gifted about being flexible and versatile with connecting with others. So the twins, they may have one side, one mask that they show to the world outwardly, but then there may be an entire inner world that's happening behind the scenes that they don't even want you to see. So people can say, oh, Geminis, they're two-faced. Anyone has the potential to be two-faced. I think they're masterful at communicating. They're curious about everyone. They won't be overtly rude, but if you start losing their interest, they're going to be on to the next. And it's not like it's not an insulting thing. It's just think about a broad scope of interests and a short span of attention, if that makes sense. They have an insatiable quest for knowledge. They need mental stimulation and new mental challenges. So they are always in motion, have a curiosity, they learn, and then they move on. Almost like a little hummingbird. Think about like hummingbirds just zooming around and they're like, what's next? What's over here? What's here? Is there pollen? Oh, let's see the sunset. Like that is, let's see. Okay, and as an air sign, I touched on this before, since it's an air sign, it's very driven by their thoughts and communication and logic, so sometimes they will lead with their mind rather than their actual like emotions. So that's some insights to Geminis. I hope it helps. The next sign in the calendar is Cancer. So we will be approaching Cancer moving forward. So that starts June 21st in 2 days. So Cancer, think about the little crab. That is the sign of Cancer. It is a water sign, aptly. So water rules the emotions. And it's a cardinal sign, which is the beginning of the season. So at the beginning of the summer, you have an emotional cardinal energy. The power colors are silver and sea green. So think about like a little mermaid or the glistening water. And the ruling planet is the moon. And that's appropriate because the moon rules your emotions and your inner self. So Cancer is very aligned with that energy as a sign. So they are very sensitive, they are very emotional, they're very receptive. They can sense subtle energies. Cancers wear their hearts on their sleeve. They literally wear their home on their backs. Okay, so Cancer is, they really go wholeheartedly into what they believe. Cancer is your moon sign, Leo's your sign. Oh, that's cool. I like that combination. A lot of summer energy there. So they really invest their hearts into the things and the people that they believe. They are represented by the crab. So if you think about a crab, they have that hard shell. So it can take a lot for someone to crack their shell, to like break through. But once you do, they're extraordinarily loyal and caring and nurturing, and they love to make their home their safe, comfortable place. They value family and domesticity very greatly. So like they are very, very happy in their home, in their safe space, surrounded by the people that are closest to them. And if they feel threatened, they will quickly withdraw and go back into their shell and shut down. So they okay, I'm just checking my notes. So they can be crabby. They can be a little moody. They can snap at you. If they feel threatened, they can be a little like, I'm gonna claw you, and I'm gonna go back into my shell. So it's protective. Anybody does it, but Cancer's very sensitive, so like they need to go within and then replenish their energy because they're so sensitive to everybody around them. They really like care so much that they tend to internalize it. Are you relating to this yummy delicious? It rings true. I'm glad that like as you understand it, you're like, I totally relate to that, or I know somebody like that. Yeah, so just think about it. They're ruled by the crab. They can be crabby, but can't we all? It's just knowing that they're hypersensitive to other people's emotions. They really care. So they also get a bad rap for being like a little weepy, a little sad, but they're sensitive. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being emotional and sensitive and expressive, right? We need that in our world. So the next sign, as we're in the thick of summer, is Leo. So that is the 5th sign of the zodiac wheel, of the zodiac calendar, and the dates for Leo is July 23rd to August 22nd. So think about that. That's like the really hot, thick, heavy, hot summer days, right? That is a fire sign, so that passion and heat and swagger and like creativity, but it's a fixed sign. So think about it. It's like that stagnant energy. And you think about a lion, because Leo is ruled by the lion. What does a lion do in the heat of the day? He goes under a tree and he lies down and takes a nap. So the king of the jungle, he's ruled by the sun. Leos are ruled by the sun. So it's your sense of self, your sense of pride. And the colors associated with it is gold and orange. But if you think about a fire sign, that's all about courage and bravado, and then it's a fixed energy, there's beautiful qualities to it, but that also can get very stubborn too. So we'll get into that a little bit. So Leos tend to be, naps are the best. Naps are delicious. My moon is in Leo, and my son is a Leo, and my mother is a Leo. So I have a lot of Leo energy in my life. So Leos tend to be very creative, very enthusiastic. They have a flair for the dramatic. They love to live life to the fullest. Think about the sun. It's like, I have arrived. The world is my oyster. That is Leo. Like, it is bold. It is proud. It is not afraid to be seen. It wants to be seen and recognized for its qualities. And they do have an innate sense of confidence, usually. Yeah, I'm glad you're relating to this. It makes sense. So, I mean, they do have confidence. They do have a radiance that people tend to gravitate towards them. Just because their presence, it is the energy of the sun. So people do tend to gravitate towards them. A lot of actors tend to be Leos. They tend to stand out from the crowd and not be afraid to stand out from the crowd. They do like to be recognized for what they bring to the world. So they're very generous. They love to contribute. They're very loyal. They stand with strong integrity. It's as part of their core. It's very important to them. They do need to caution themselves and keep themselves in check, because Leos can get a bad rep for being egotistical or self-centered or arrogant. Well, the star of the zodiac, the sun of the zodiac, it is the sun. It is the luminary of the sun. It is, it is the lion with the mane. It is the hot heat of summer, the swagger, the passion. So it can be very exciting and very sensual and very beautiful, but then you have to just keep yourself in check, Leos, so it doesn't come off as being arrogant or too much showy. Some people roll their eyes and they're like, oh, Leos. They don't mean it. If they really do come from a place of service and integrity and like contribution, they just want to make a mark in the world in a positive way. So as long as they are doing it for the greater good of contribution and not just like the ego show. So every sign has a lower version and an evolved version. So the lower version of the sign, you gotta watch out for that egocentrism, okay? The heightened, developed, evolved version of Leo is fabulous. So they are very loyal. They are very romantic. They are very creative. They are called to express the fire inside of them. They have to express and emote and get it out. They're very generous to the people that they love. And they are also fiercely protective. So think about that lion. And that's how you interact with a Leo. So the next sign is very different from Leo. So the summer starts to fade, and then we start going into the fall season, right? So that Indian summer, the summer can drag out, and then we're looking at an earth element, but mutable. Remember I talked about mutable being transitioning into the next season. So Virgo is August 23rd to September 22nd. So that's the end of the summer transitioning into the fall. So mutable, they need to be go with the flow and very malleable and figure out how to take all of this input and make sense of it, because then the fall is coming and that's when things tend to get more structured again, right? So the earth sign of Virgo, I have a lot of Virgos in my life. My ex-husband, my daughter, my sister, my son's ascendant is Virgo. So I like to equate Virgos that their brains operate like a human computer, okay? So they can look at the 10,000 foot view and take all that information and assess it and calculate it and be like, here's all of the options and let me compute it. This is the optimal way to move forward. It's brilliant. The way that they think, it's just, it's very unique to Virgos. They have an innate talent for it. So they are very practical, they're extraordinarily hardworking, and they are very analytical. So keywords I associate with Virgo is picky, particular, sometimes persnickety. They are very, very gifted at assessing situations and scenarios. They take it all in, and then they will determine the optimal outcome. So if you need to problem solve or troubleshoot, find your closest Virgo and give them all the different scenarios, and then they'll be like, here's my assessment. Usually they're spot on. Usually. They love to be organizers. They are naturally born organizers. They value consistency, loyalty, and productivity. It makes them happy. Material things. They like to have structure, and then they'll take a complete mess, and then they'll have everything like in organized piles and stacks, and then they'll have some stuff for donations, some stuff in the garbage, and some stuff folded for storage for winter. Like it's amazing. So they invest a lot of time into themselves, into their goals and their plans. The less evolved version that Virgos need to watch out for is they can be hypercritical if things don't pan out the way that they want it to. So what Virgos need to remember is that not everybody thinks like a Virgo. And even though the Virgo is suggesting what they believe wholeheartedly to be the best optimal solution, they also have to honor that sometimes people aren't going to do that. They are amazing to collaborate and work with. I agree. Sometimes people have to learn from themselves and they take their own path. And you can't take it personally, Virgos. It's not a personal slight on you. Even though you try so hard and you're coming from a great place and you're trying to say like, but I believe that this is the best. You can't force that on other people because people always have choices, right? So you can make your recommendations. Like, they make great attorneys. They make great organizers. They make great product managers. Very successful. They're very diligent, very organized, very structured. It's like an ideal, awesome worker. So they have a tenacity and intellectualism. They can create order out of chaos. And they are very, very trustworthy and kind and generous with themselves. It makes them feel happy to be of this service. And they're happy to help anybody that wants to. Hi, honey. Anyone that wants to receive that help, they love it. You're welcome to join if you want to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, it's online. Oh,
yeah, I'm doing it online. So there's some folks online, and then I'm just going through the zodiac calendar right now, and I'm up to Virgo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm going through the sun sign and the rising sign.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really like 101 foundations.
Oh,
and it'll
right.
be saved, so you can always go back and
okay.
watch. Yeah. So some keywords to associate with Virgo: practical, perfection, meticulous, sometimes persnickety, but always a consummate problem solver. Okay, so again, earth sign, very tangible, and then mutable quality. So very go with the flow and figure it out, so it's problem solving. So then the seventh sign of the zodiac wheel is Libra. So that the dates for Libra is September 23rd to October 22nd. And that is an air sign. So it's ruled by your thoughts and your intellect and communication. And it's a cardinal sign. So again, the first sign of the fall season. So it's like the first to get things going for that season. So an air sign that's cardinal. The associated power colors are pale blue and pink. And then it is another planet that's sign that's ruled by Venus. So Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So again, Venus rules love, money, art, beauty, aesthetics, and all of those qualities definitely are vital to Libras. They love that. Yeah, Libra is a cardinal air sign. And then the symbol is the scales. So justice and fairness is extraordinarily important to Libras. So Libras, being the seventh sign, the first 6 signs of the zodiac represent your personal qualities, your inner qualities relating to you. 7 through 12 represent you interrelating with other people in other aspects of the world and of life. So Libra is all about you plus another. So partnership. The scales, balance between two, looking at both sides. I like to, because I'm a Libra sun, I like to say, look, there's the scales, and the goal is to find balance, but there's also a big pendulum swing, right? So like sometimes it can be a swing too. So it can be equally dramatic too. So we're not perfect. That's part of our work to do here, is to find that balance. Strive for that balance. We don't always achieve that balance, but that's the struggle that Libras are always seek to attain. So some qualities of Libra: charming, social, diplomatic. Libras value peace and balance above all. They strive for fairness in life and in relationships. They have a tendency, I definitely can attest to this, to surround themselves with beauty, art, and luxury. And it doesn't have to be expensive luxury. It can just be, it can be the beauty of nature. It can be art that your kid made, or it can be visiting museums. Beauty. It's very important for Libras to feel put together. Like, you won't catch me wearing pajamas outside. It just doesn't happen. I'm a Libra. It doesn't happen. So, as eternal romantics, they crave relationships and partnerships And sometimes they can dive headfirst into relationships because they just love the feeling of love, and they're like, let's do this, and they need to caution who they partner with, and they need to take their time in partnering. so one of the sides that you have to caution yourself and watch out for is beware of codependency. Oh, that's why my store is so beautiful? Well, I strongly credit Dina with a lot of that because she just has like a masterful eye for rainbows. But thank you for saying that. So you got to watch out for codependency, and also just be very smart and do your due diligence before you embark and enter into partnerships of all types. So they are excellent at communication. They are excellent at negotiation. They love to meet people, interact with people, communicate with people, represent people. I worked in sales. I loved it. You could put me in the middle of a room and I will know something about each and every person. And I love it. Like speaking in front of this and teaching, and I love it. Some people absolutely hate it. I don't know. I've definitely developed it, but it makes me happy because I think it's interpersonal communication and relationships is the joie de vivre. we all need. I don't live on this planet alone. I want to learn about everybody, and I have to recognize that not everybody is like me. So I'm also very interested in learning about them and making them feel comfortable and seen and appreciated. That's very much a very Libra thing. You have to watch out for people pleasing too. So don't lose your sense of self in others. That's one of the signs, potential downfalls that you have to caution about. So as an air sign ruled by thoughts, analytics instead of emotions, sometimes they can process their feelings intellectually. They are very sensitive people. So they don't want to cause upset. That's why sometimes Libras can be indecisive. Because they're like, oh, well, if I do this, then this is going to happen. If I do this, this is going to happen. But I'm always weighing all options and trying to find that optimal. And sometimes you have to just make a decision. That comes with time and practice. So, again, it's the first sign that's dedicated to you plus others in partnership. All right. 8th sign is Scorpio. Scorpio is a water sign. Scorpio's dates are October 23rd to November 21st. I love Scorpios. They're fascinating. The more you understand Scorpios, they're very complex. So it's a water sign, rules emotions, but it is a fixed sign. So again, fixed is still. Think about a lake. And the water at the bottom of the lake, it goes deep, and they feel deep. They are ruled by emotions. They are dark, they are mysterious. Think about the murky water at the bottom of a lake. If you take a stick and you churn it, there's a hell of a lot of muck down there. I don't know what's hiding under there. I don't like putting my foot down in a lake. There's a reason for that, because things want to stay hidden. This is Scorpio's lair. It's very comfortable there. It is the 8th sign. It is represented by the 8th house, which is birth, death, and rebirth. So it's all about transformation and rising from the ashes. It is also associated with sex and other people's money and inheritance. So when things die, what happens after things die? That can be monetary, that can be relationship, that can be transformative. This is Scorpio's specialty. They are very intense. They are very passionate. Again, they're ruled by their emotions. They can be very cunning. They tend to be all or nothing people. So they are all in, and they are not afraid to lie in wait to achieve what they want. They will plot and plan, and they'll wait their entire life to achieve their plan. They are masterful at sitting and observing, and they have a knack for extracting information from everyone around them without disclosing anything about themselves. It's their talent. They can have like a mask, and before you even know it, they'll know so much about you and you won't know it. Very strategic. Yes. They have, it's like the sirens, those mermaids that sing the song to lure everyone in, and they're like, ha ha ha, ha, and now I'm going to kill you. So I'm not going to say like Scorpios are going to kill you, but if you cross them, they want to. And I would not cross a Scorpio. They are very, very powerful minds. They tend to dominate situations and relationships. They're enchanting and very strategic. But think about a Scorpion, they can sting. So unless they feel safe, they're going to hide back until they feel safe. They have a very close circle. Very few people that they trust. But when they do, they will fiercely protect you. And if they set their sights on something, they will wait forever to do that. They are deeply emotional, so they can brood in their emotions sometimes and be like a dark and stormy rain cloud. So you got to help them like come out of that. Like my son's moon is in Scorpio and he feels deep. He goes so deep, and I'm like, dude, you got to come out of that. Come out of that hole. Like that's, it's okay. It's going to get better. So they really crave intimacy, and they have deep psychological depth. So again, still water goes deep. So they really like to navigate the world like a game, and they like to conquer whatever they set their sights on. So that's how they operate. And once you understand how they operate, you can interact with them better. They're very irresistible. They can be very secretive. They can be highly sexual and also subtle. So they can be unrelenting until they get what they want. Very intense. But what's so cool about them is they value transformation and rebirth through the heart. So even if a situation doesn't work out well for them, they will learn and integrate and grow, and then they'll strategically pivot, and then keeping their eye on growth. So what's fascinating to me about Scorpios is it's represented by the scorpion as the symbol, but that's the lowest evolved form of Scorpio. Then as they go through this process of evolution, they turn into the eagle. So the eagle transcends and soars high and has eagle-eye vision of everything. And they have killer precision. So they go above the fray and they see what they want to attack, and then they use that precision. Then with the highest level of evolution, of transformation, is the phoenix. So this is the only sign that has 3 symbols to represent it. So the phoenix is rising out of the ashes. So they can crash and burn, and then they will pick up the pieces and become even stronger. So it's really a fascinating, so death and rebirth and sex and other people's money, that's all 8th house qualities, and that's all Scorpio qualities. So intensely powerful, life, death, birth and sex, transformation, rebirth, regeneration, as well as that magnetism and healing. So if you think about the star, the tower comes and then the star follows. So I think that's very scorpionic. Obviously the death card too, because it's all about death and rebirth, because it's going to start a new cycle. All right, let me take a sip of my coffee. Are there any questions? I can't believe it's 5:25 and I started at 4:30.
I do have a question.
Okay, one question here.
So with the traits, do you find there's a difference between zodiac signs that are people, like a Virgo or a Gemini, versus zodiac signs that represent animals, versus a Libra as an object? Like,
yes.
Do you see?
Yeah. I want to actually, before, that's a very good question. I want to save that question to the end.
Okay.
Because then I think once I go through the remaining few signs, we could talk about that question. I think it's a good one. So the question was, are there signs that are more represented by people versus animals, and we could talk about that. I think that's good. So the next sign is Sagittarius, because you showed up a little bit late, and that's where the elements and the qualities come into play. So there's all different layers and combinations, and you really see it come to life in the different zodiac signs, which represent personalities and traits. So Sagittarius, the dates for that is November 22nd to December 21st. And it's represented by an upward pointing arrow. The archer is the symbol. So it's a fire sign. So it's all about like the passion and the action and the creativity and imagination. And it's mutable. So again, that flexibility and go with the flow energy paired with the creativity and the swagger and the passion. So think about an arrow. The power colors are purple and dark blue. And it's ruled by Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion and good luck and good fortune. So the qualities of Sagittarius, keywords are adventurous, spontaneous, optimistic. So they're an adventurer. It's all about expansion and exploration. So physical as well as of the mind and higher learning. So they hate being caged in. Your daughter's a Sag sun and rising. You got to give them space because they do not want to be boxed into anything. They need to have stimulation. They want to learn. They want to explore. Your husband in a nutshell. Listen, I'm a Sag rising, so I totally get it. And they refuse to be caged in. They have a hunger for everything that life has to offer. They want to experience it. They want to seek new ideas. They want new relationships. They want experiences that are going to teach them about themselves as well as the world. Yes, they're very independent. They can be impulsive and restless. We can be. They may find it hard to focus on one or more things. And Sagittarius get a bad rep because sometimes they fear commitment. They do not want to be trapped. They can sometimes fear responsibility. They do not want to be trapped. They do not want to do the same thing every day. That's what's so beautiful with me and about this job. Like, I might be doing packing and shipping one day, and I might be doing a class, and I might be doing aura readings, or I might be getting my Reiki master training. I don't know. It depends on the day. So Sagittarians were born to be free, and this cheerful energy often brings them a natural form of luck. Because, yeah, they can definitely be fast-paced. Because we're like, what's next? What about this? But what about this? And how did this happen? And what if I go here? And then what happens? And what? Rome? I love Rome. I want to go to Rome. Let's go to Greece. Let's go here. Like, you just want to go. So your little storyteller doesn't stop talking. Yeah, but it's that insatiable curiosity for higher learning. It's higher education. It is higher spirituality. There's got to be more than life. Let's learn about different cultures. One of my favorite classes was Cultures of India. You know, like I was fascinated by it. So the explorer, the archer's arrow searches for meaning. So they tend to be students of life, a philosopher. They focus on finding life's basic truths, and they thrive on change. They thrive on independence and freedom. So if you have a Sagittarius in your life, give them space to explore. Let them know that they're not trapped. So you give them their space to go do their thing, but know that, like, this is home base. And, like, they come. And then they won't want to leave because they know that they're not bound. And then, like, find that curiosity with them. So if it's a matter of, like, how things work or why things work or how different cultures exist or, like, you know, different religions or different locations, that's very important to Sagittarians. Okay, almost the opposite of that is the next sign, which is Capricorn, and that is December 22nd to January 19th, and that is an earth sign. It is very earthy, practical, tangible, grounded, and it's a cardinal earth sign. So again, let's get the party started. Let's start the ideas. Let's start doing the projects. It is like the worker bee of the zodiac. So they're like, This room is a mess. This is Dina. Dina is a Cap rising, and I love her for it. She is just like, we need to take down all of the shelves, and we need to reorganize. So everything that's red to green on that side, we're going to wipe down the shelves over here, and then we're going to put it here. Like, they just will reorganize, and it makes them feel happy. So when they are busy and being productive, they're very, very happy. So the ruling planet for Capricorn is Saturn. The power colors are dark green and brown. The symbol is the goat. So yes, Saturn is the planet of structure, restriction, and discipline. So we all need that in our lives. So I don't know if you've ever seen a mountain goat climbing and hanging on with their hoofs on the side of a mountain, and it looks like they're going to just fall off. And I'm like, how you're defying every odd. If you think about a Capricorn as that little mountain goat that looks at the top of the mountain and says, that's my goal. I'm going to achieve that goal. So the mountain goat will just keep going until it reaches its goal. And then its friend can come by and be like, hey goat, I want to hang out with you. And he'll say, are you in alignment with my goal? And if it is, he'll say, come along, we're going up to the top. If that little friend is not aligned with its goal, it's going to say, can't talk to you, I'm going to achieve my goal. So then it will just keep going, like the determined little thing that it is, all the way until it achieves its goal. And then it'll say, and look at the other mountain peak and say, that's my next goal. And then they'll do it again. It really is just like amazing. So they are very ambitious. They're very reserved and practical. They are highly patient, and they desire to build a life that has a solid foundation. It makes them feel safe. It makes them feel happy. Again, it's an earth element, so they are very practical. Your dad and husband are Capricorns. Yeah, it's funny because they say when Capricorns are born, they're like little old people. And then when they're older, they have like this youthful joy to them. It's almost like reverse aging Capricorns. It's funny because I actually know some, and I don't know why it is, but it is. So they are extraordinarily hardworking, and they are focused on creating career and financial success and stability. They value strong long-term relationships and a domestic life that feels like personal achievements. So again, similar to Taurus, they like to surround themselves with nice material things that make them feel safe and proud in a practical way. They can be very frugal. One of the things they have to be careful about, because they're so disciplined and determined, is they have to watch out for being too frugal or austere. Like, it's okay to spend money on things that you save your money for. You can't take it with you. So like, you actually can buy yourself nice things for that security. They can be less emotional than others, like than most average, because they're an earth sign. They don't want to be distracted by feelings. They're very practical, so they can make a decision based on facts. And they're like, no. If somebody gets too emotional, they're like, it's not comfortable for me. They just shut it down. So Caps tend to be very funny too. They use humor as part of their way to connect with others. So they're really goal setters and goal getters. They are the little doozers that will just strive for achievement, structure, and organization. Okay, the last two signs. And then I can't believe how long we're taking. Sorry. Aquarius, June 20th to February 18th. That is an air sign, and it's a fixed air sign. So knowing what we know about the qualities, fixed air is like outer space. So outer space, everything's just kind of like, woo, and Aquarius can sometimes be little aliens. They don't feel like they're from this earth. They feel like they don't fit in. They are very cerebral. The color, power color for them is electric blue. They are ruled by Uranus and Saturn. Oh, I'm so glad that you guys like this. So Uranus and Saturn are the ruling planets, and the water bearer is the symbol for that, because they hold space for ideas and for humanity. So Aquas tend to be very intellectual, extremely independent and contemplative, and deeply focused on their thoughts and beliefs and ideas. So I haven't had many aquas in my life. I have some, and I just love them. They're fascinating. They're unique. They're quirky. They're free thinkers. They like to think outside the box. They think on behalf of the greater good of mankind. And that's where Uranus comes in. Like, it definitely is like futuristic thinking. I'm like, is this good for humanity? It's just how they operate. So they are hungry for knowledge, and in order to better form their perception on how the universe and society operate around them, they're open to exploring new concepts. However, once they come to their conclusion, they can be extraordinarily stubborn and fixed in their way. And they're like, nope, I am never going to waver from my perspective and point of view. So that's it. So again, it's a fixed sign. So it's a fixed air sign. Once they're stuck, they're stuck. So like they think big and broad, and then they're like, nope, here's my thought. So they can be very, very brilliant and very transformative and progressive in their thoughts. And then they can also be stubborn and closed-minded once they reach their thoughts. So they are social, they are quirky, they're weird, they're inventive, they are like the futuristic thought leaders, the futurists. So I said alien, outer space. Like my friend used to call him, he'd say, yeah, no, I'm a cyborg. Because it's not driven by emotion, it's thought. You know, so like if you think of Star Trek, is it Spock? I don't even know the guy. He's like
Data too.
Yes, that one, Data. Yes. So it's definitely like the futurist of the zodiac. So that is Aquarius, and then the last sign of the zodiac wheel is Pisces. So that is February 19th to March 20th, and that since it's the 12th sign and the oldest, the OG of the zodiac, it is also said to be the one who has come back with the most past lives and the most wisdom and spiritual insight. So that is a water sign, and it's the last sign of the season. So it's a mutable water sign. It's a very go with the flow, water emotional sign. Pale green and turquoise are the colors. It is ruled by Neptune and Jupiter, and it's represented by the fish. So it's imaginative, intuitive, emotional. Pisces are often old souls. And it's funny because my Reiki master is a Pisces. And she goes, if you notice the physicality of Pisces, sometimes their eyes are actually wider set, similar to a fish. Like, I don't know why, but she said it to me, and I've observed, and there's some truth to it. I don't know. I'd be interested to hear what you think about it. They have an innate connection to the mystical and the spiritual world, you know, because they've been around for some time. They often are drawn deeply into romantic, creative, and transformative experiences. So they're extraordinarily compassionate, and they take on the sensitivity, and they feel and experience the sensitivity and emotions of everyone around them that they love. So they do get depleted. They need to take a step back and then like regroup. So they like to have their personal time. They tend to have an active social life with a wide assortment of different types of people. And because they do overload themselves with the emotions, then they can become overwhelmed, and they just need to like shut down for a while. So that's something you have to caution yourself. Just recognize and train yourself to recognize, like, this is my energy and this is other people's energy. I don't have to take on and absorb it. Like, that's where it's really important to learn how to protect yourself and your energy. They are very highly intuitive. They are a healer. They are here to help mankind and often to be of service or to sacrifice. So if they don't contribute to the world at large and to others, it's like to serve or to suffer. So they definitely have a heightened focus on providing for the greater good of their families and their communities and their country and the collective. So those are the sun signs and your ascendant. So I think when you check once you know your birth time, pull your natal chart, find out what your sun sign is, and find out what all of your planets are, and also what houses they reside in for the future classes that we're going to teach each week. But it's really interesting because you should be checking just regularly your horoscope for your sun sign and your ascendant, your rising sign, because you're both. So oftentimes I'll relate more to my Sagittarian side than my Libra side. And I know that my life's goal is to become the fully mature or evolved state of Libra. And then we can get into North Node too, which is like in your midheaven, which is all like more advanced aspects of astrology. But again, the purpose of this is to go through the basics week by week, just as an introductory class for you guys. And then we can always delve deeper in too. So the question that my friend here had was, do I think that there's differences between the symbols of like what's represented by the animals versus what's represented by the people or the symbols? I think the symbols are based on the constellations for the most part. Personally, I do think there's similarities, like especially with the crab. It makes so much sense when you think about like wearing its house on its back and like withdrawing and going in, or like the scorpion, how like the lower evolved version may hide in the shadows and like be more secretive or duplicitous or like, you know. But then the more evolved is like the eagle and the phoenix. Libra, I think it's more the traits and qualities of the sign, because Libra is represented by the scales, and it's all about the balance, but it's also about the fairness. It's also about the interpersonal you versus others. So let me think. Pisces, the fish. I mean, the water bearer is a little weird, is a symbol in today's day and age. But again, it's like providing the vessel to hold space. The twins, I think, are reflective of the broad scope and like the face that you show outwardly and the inner face of like what's really happening inside, but also the diversity of life. So they have a wide, broad scope of interest, but it's not very deep. So like their attention span will be like, oh, that's really cool, I love talking to you, great, and like run across the room to have another conversation. So I think for me, what is fascinating is when you find out about our cusps of thing. That's a great question. I'll talk about that too. For me, I think it's fascinating once you understand the element that the sign is in, as well as if it's cardinal, fixed, or mutable, because you're like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And then you can understand why people do and behave in the ways that they do. And then you can start to interrelate with them a little bit more. That's how it makes it easier for me to understand. Cusps. No. Cusps are not a thing. Astrology is extraordinarily mathematical. And math is one of the spiritual truths that transcend all cultures and all principles. That's why numbers are a thing. That's why astrology has been used for centuries and millennia and for civilizations all over. Here's an example. My sister Erin has her birthday September 22nd. And she's a Virgo. And she'd be like, yeah, but I'm on the cusp. I'm on the cusp. And I'm like, yeah, it's not a thing. A cusp is not a thing. And she's like, well, it's right on the verge of Libra, and I always relate to Libra. And I'm like, I'm a Libra. You're a Virgo. She's like, well, I'm a Virgo, but I also feel like a Libra. And I'm like, all right. I pulled her chart. It makes sense because she is a Virgo and her ascendant is Libra. So she is not a cusp. I mean, yes, I do believe there are qualities that if you were born at the beginning of a zodiac sign versus towards the end of a zodiac sign, you may start feeling more of the energies of that. So she definitely is feeling more Virgo, which is transitioning as a mutable sign, transitioning into Libra. she may be feeling more of the Libra energy as the sun is approaching Libra. I think there's influence there. But astrology is extraordinarily mathematical. And then once you start getting into more advanced topics, once you get the basics, like 2.0, 3.0, you'll understand aspects, because it's all about your position in the world at the moment you were born, at the exact location, latitude, longitude, the exact moment, the date, time, down to the minute, and the date. And that is your point in the world, like a unique snowflake. And where each planet resides, we're going to get into. So your homework is to pull your free natal chart and have that, so that you know, for the zodiac, I can get into the houses and what each house rules, because each house, each 12th house rules a different aspect of your life. So if you have planets in that house, that's going to have heightened importance for you in this lifetime. Just because it's empty doesn't mean that it's not important. However, you will have heightened work to do in this lifetime with that planet in that house. So, no, cusps are not a thing. Long-winded answer. Agreed, no cusp. Your sun is one sign or another. And if you were born on the edge of a sign, there can be qualities. Yeah, I think it's an influence or like a tone, but you're not both. You're one or the other. So I hope this was helpful. This is the first, and like I said, it's going to be a 10-part series on Sundays at 4:30. I will save these so that you can watch it back. And yeah, I hope it was helpful for you. So have a great day, and I will see you next week, and happy Father's Day. Bye, guys. I'm coming around to just turn it off. Okay, goodbye.